Greetings, ne'er-do-wells. And the first thing I'm going to talk about today from Azeroth Court is the ongoing drama with the quartering. As you can see from the title of this video, I'm calling it the never-ending tragedy. It honestly just gets worse and worse. I mean, this guy is just doubling down on his abhorrent behavior. He has deleted his Twitter, and yet he still seems to be back on and off Twitter, even though he claims he's deleted it. His minion, Melonie Mac, through the actions of Chrissie Mayr, I don't defend Chrissie Mayr, but through the actions of a friend, Chrissie Mayr, has caused another crap storm or shit storm, if you prefer. And it just goes on and on and on. As I warned in my first video about him, Forever Locale, the quartering, Jeremy Hambley seems unable to accept his fate, that he's now an internet locale, deservedly so, I would say, because of what he has done with all the allegations of false flagging. If that is true, he deserves his fate as a locale. But now he's kind of pulling in other people, like because of their own stupidity to a great degree. He pulled in Chrissie Mayr, and by extension, pulled in the Friday Night Tights crew, from of nerderotic infamy or fame, depending on how you look at it. They're now all enmeshed in it. Now, one person who has kind of, choosing my words here carefully, kind of emerged as a hero of all this has been Brittany Venti. But I kind of do wonder if Venti is using her status here, being the kind of the white knight to the Kino Casino boys. Kind of nice inversion of that, where she's a girl and they're guys. But I digress. But I do kind of wonder if her using her white knight status is partially to chase clout. I'm not saying that she's not upset by all this, not rightly righteous about all the false flagging, but she wasn't really super relevant before all this happened. And I do wonder if part of the motive, maybe not initially, but at least with her continuing doubling down on this, is to gain clout. And through that, to gain more subs, follows, views, and of course, like all of us, we're monetized. Not so my case, but a lot of people are. My channel is just too small, to gain revenue. I wouldn't fault her for that, but I do wonder if her motivation is not all as altruistic as people think. As Chrissie Mayr, yeah, she's kind of destroyed her career at this point. She's going to be another locale, and there's really nothing she can do about it. I mean, she's just screwed. They've caught her in like too many lies and too many, you know, misconceptions and whatever you want to call them. What I found especially telling, because I was in both those streams, like the one with Melonie Mac, and I was in her apology stream on this past Sunday. What I did find interesting is her claiming, "Oh, I didn't do it. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't know," even though people have since brought receipts that she did know. That she was also like basically bringing up her child as an excuse, and that was all kind of not only ineffective but distasteful. In my opinion, she even threw out that her father had been murdered 3 years ago, and there was something new going on with the investigation. Like a lot of excuses are being made. And the biggest thing I think this all comes down to is, and the most honest admission she's made is that, well, Melonie Mac is my friend, and I like Melonie. And a part of me does feel for her because that's a very bad position to be in. Old Selgris does appreciate that. I mean, if Melonie Mac is indeed her friend, it's a terrible position to be in, to have to throw your friend under the bus. But I think Gary of Nerd Erotic said it best when he addressed this story in a live stream just a couple days ago. Might even have been yesterday. I don't keep completely up on all the dates with this stuff's happening so quick. And I'm not a drama tuber, but where he said regarding the friend, throwing people under the bus and being involved in all this false flagging, even periphery, like Christie is. He said basically, the classic line about snitches get stitches, because he had been in prison himself before, which he makes no allusions to the contrary. He's quite honest about his past. But he said the one thing you don't do, the golden rule in prison is snitching, just like the golden rule being a content creator on social media, something like YouTube or TikTok or whatever, that you don't false flag a channel. That's one of the worst things, if not the worst thing you could do. And it has been shown that Chrissy did know what was going on to a degree with the whole situation before she had Mel on. So yeah, that was a big mistake, and probably a mistake so big, especially now that she's doubled down in it, that she can't come back from it. But at the core of all this, of course, is the quartering. And over the weekend, the quartering deleted his old podcast videos with Count Dankula and Bering called The Salt Mine. And he has since admitted it in a stream, I believe, from yesterday, after first claiming that, oh, people flagged the podcast with the individual videos and that's why they were all removed. Now, he admitted that once again on Twitter, which he's supposed to be off of permanently, he admitted that the reason he did it, which was what old Selgren suspected, and a lot of people did, is he didn't want people mining those old vids for other embarrassing clips, segments, to clip, such as the gems of the Ren Fair, which I believe was some, in a different video, wasn't in the salt mine, but something I know came from the salt mine for sure, because I've seen it, was when someone did a dono, a super chat of $500, and that was where the infamous Walmart poop story came from. Jeremy admitted he pooped himself in the Walmart, which has become infamous now. You could never drag that out of me with wild horses or any other kind of torture. I would never admit I did that. If I did something like that, I would never admit it. I mean, even though this is years ago, still, internet culture has always been similar. And, you risk becoming a meme and you're being held up to massive ridicule. I would never admit I did something like that. You would have to torture me like CIA people could, you know, revert me to a human form and pull up my nails. But, old soldiers would never admit something like that. I mean, that was a big mistake, and Jeremy should have known better. Same with that Ren Fair video, especially once he started to become more famous, he should have pulled that down. But yeah, going back to the point, he admitted it, that he didn't want people mining these old vids for the podcast, the Salt Mine, for other quote unquote embarrassing things that he had done. It makes one think there must be other things in there that are, co-equal with I poop my pants at Walmart or him creeping on people at the Ren Fair. And speaking of the Ren Fair, he now, as we all know, has been banned for life from the Wisconsin Ren Fair and all associated projects. I don't really think that's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing, to be honest. And I don't think the people at the Ren Fair running it had any choice because, well, the guy's a creeper. What he did there, including creeping, quote unquote, accidentally on a 10-year-old at one point, well, we've all seen the video. It speaks for itself, was so awful. The only thing that'd been worse is if he actually got it and groped somebody. If the only thing he could have done was worse. Like him talking about women and children like that. What an awful human being. I mean, they didn't have no choice. They had to ban him for life. And apparently he's pretty salty about that. You know, ironic when you think that his old podcast with Bering and Dankula was a salt mine. Pretty salty about being banned, but hey, you reap what you sow. Jeremy, you pretend you're a Christian, in my opinion, but you should know that Bible verse. You sow with the wind, you reap with the whirlwind. That's what happens, in these cases. But yeah, it's unfortunate that Jeremy now and Melonie have pulled so many other people into their orbit, Chrissy's her own stupidity and mistakes, potentially, and now, due to association, F&T. Well, I hope things blow over for F&T, but I don't really think so. Some people are afraid that the whole whatever you want to call it, movement or group or whatever, will fracture. And old Felger thinks that might be their fate. Well, from Azeroth's court, farewell, my ne'er-do-wells, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe. We really need to grow this channel. And I think I might post some of my fan fiction stories here, in AI video form, guided with art, but they're all my own original stories, be supplemented by that. I have things like Dragon Ball, DC, Marvel, Star Wars. So let old Felgris know if you want me to do that. I will leave a link this video to my stories in text format, where I have them stored on fanfiction.net website and some other websites, and tell me what you think. We see them brought to life with perhaps some supplemental by AI art or animation. You have a wonderful day. Bye bye.